Hey, it's your girl Nicole, and welcome to the Risers Hub podcast. And today we're going to be talking about feeling stuck, leaving your past behind, moving forward with intention, and working on turning your anxiety into excitement. And before we move forward, I just want to share something with you. Did you know that anxiety and excitement are closely related in the brain? They share the same physiological reaction. So when a person is fearful, adrenaline runs through the body, the same adrenaline that occurs when a person is excited. So we're going to work on that because the difference is not coming from the body, but how the mind interprets the experience. So it's up to you to decide which way you want to go. With everything going on in your life, the way I see it, it's about finding that perfect pathway to an amazing and beautiful hill full of flowers, green trees, and blue skies, aka peace, happiness, and joy. It's about navigating forward with purpose and intention. So, today, we're running right into the art of not being stuck and looking forward. And I'm going to be using an example of a pathway and a hill. So, let's go. Now let's talk about that pathway and that hill. If there's one thing that I've learned through life itself is that everyone has their own pathway and everyone has their own hill. And they each look very different. So imagine yourself standing at the beginning of a pathway. And as you look down the pathway, it leads you to a hill. Now, this hill is beautiful and it represents your journey towards joy, happiness, and peace, whatever that looks like to you. But there's a catch. As you're standing in front of the pathway, whatever is behind you, no matter if it's a what or a who, you can't take it with you on this path. I don't care who it is. I don't care what it is. You can't take it with you. You have to trust that whatever is behind you or whoever is behind you, if it's meant for you, you have to trust it will be at the top of the hill when you get there. Now, picture this. You've set goals, you've made changes, you're ready to move forward, but suddenly you feel like you're literally trudging through quicksand, or you're not moving at all. Everything seems to be moving in slow motion. There's suddenly uncertainty and doubt, and you just don't know where to start. Does that sound familiar? Well, trust me, you're not alone. So we have those nagging things that like creep up into our head, questions, comments, and they're negative. And you know how I feel about negative comments in your head. It sounds a little bit like this. Now that I've set these goals, I've made these changes, I look to move forward, I don't know where to start. I feel stuck. Or I'm moving, I'm doing the action steps, but everything is not moving according to my speed or how I want it to move. And then there's another one. I don't really know where to begin. Oh, and there's yet another one. The people in my life, like, they're not cooperating with what I'm doing. I feel so alone in this. Oh, there's another one. My anxiety is so high, and I'm worried that all of this was a mistake. So, the first thing I'm going to tell everybody if any of these thoughts come across your mind, you are normal. It's okay to have fear, it's okay to have doubt. But let me tell you something the negative stuff in your head is just not good for you. So, in today's podcast, I'm going to give you 3 scenarios of clients that I've worked with, conversations that I have had, and I've helped them move from point A to point B. But before I start with those scenarios, I'm going to start with a personal scenario. I don't like personal scenarios, but I'm diving in, okay? So, Many of you may know that I moved from the West Coast to the East Coast about a year ago. It'll be a year, March 1st. It was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. I had everything in order, goals were set, action steps were made. I got here. And then I would say about a month or two into this situation, 75% of my goals went to garbage. The folks I decided to trust in fell short and was a huge disappointment. The plans I had shifted, and talk about anxiety. Oh my goodness. After about 4 months in, I felt stuck, and moving forward got really hard, really fast. It affected me so much. I would wake up every single morning with this horrible pain in my hands and feet. And these doctors were trying to tell me I had arthritis. Now, I'm aging, but I ain't ready to age like that. Yes, I said it. I ain't ready to age like that. Now, I was still running and working out, drinking my water, eating right, doing all the right things, but I was in pain and I was full of anxiety. I couldn't take it anymore. So I decided after my last half marathon back in October that I was going to slow down considerably. And I started grabbing my toolbox. What is my toolbox? Well, I found a really good doctor and a fantastic therapist. I only talked to people I felt safe enough to talk to. And that was hard because I love talking to my people, but I needed to clear my mind and get back on track. I also started to make changes that were going to benefit my physical and mental health. That was also hard because I'm a person of habit and I like to do things every single day the same exact way. So to make these changes, it wasn't easy, but I did it. I changed my environment, and let me tell you, I can't believe this myself. After changing my environment, the pain that I had in my body disappeared in 2 to 3 weeks. Gone. Gone. I stopped my high intensity workouts for 3 months to let my body rest itself. And granted, that was kind of forced because I kind of fractured a foot, but that's a whole other podcast and a whole other conversation. But instead, I did start walking and I took hot yoga. I cleared my pathway. I looked forward and up towards my beautiful green hill full of flowers and birds. And that was basically my peace of mind and my happiness. I want you to know that I'm still working on not looking behind me. So even though I set up this whole scenario with the path, the hill, and not looking behind you, I still look behind and I'm still working on that. But let me tell you something. I literally tell myself to stop doing it when I realize that I'm doing it. I literally open my mouth and say, Nicole, stop. How can you look forward? And let me tell you something. It's working. Now, the reason why I'm so excited about this episode is because I've had some engaging and really good sessions in the past 2 weeks. And the common theme with all of them were the same. Nicole, I feel stuck. I did this, I did that, but I'm still here or I'm still there and I'm getting anxious. And I told them, just like I said earlier to you guys, that's all normal. I get it. I totally get it. But they were also surprised by my answers and suggestions on how to move forward. So let's go with the 3 scenarios, and I hope that one of them resonates with you and it helps you in whatever situation that you're in to move forward, create your own path, stop looking behind you, and start climbing your own hill to your own peace, happiness, and joy. Let's go. Hey, everybody. I am so happy you're here. Hello, hello, hello. You're probably wondering why I am like super excited about talking about being stuck and fearful. Let me tell you something. I have had some really good conversations in the past week, some really good coaching sessions in the past week. And the one common denominator is I've done A, B, and C, but I'm stuck. I have anxiety. I'm scared. I'm fearful. I might fail. So today I'm going to share a few scenarios because these people wanted their life to change and they knew that they would be major changes. They knew that it would affect other people in their lives, good and bad. But for their mental health, they had to make these changes because there wasn't enough there to feed their soul, to feed their mind, and to make them a stronger person. Okay, so scenario number one. I made the decision to split with my partner. I'm ready to move forward. The things I was worried about when we split is actually working out. But moving forward and doing the things I want to do with my newfound freedom is pretty scary. What should I do? Now, the first thing I told him was be extremely happy that your decision is working out for not only you, but for your partner. I wanted him to get happy about that. There's no point in beating yourself up over a decision that's actually working. So I get the feeling and I get that people are being affected. I know that if you have kids, there are moments where things are just going to be rough. But the fact is that he understood and he could see that these things are going to be affected because we talked about this months before. He made the decision months before, like, I think I need to do this. What should I do? I pushed it back on him. I said, I cannot tell you that. I'm not a relationship specialist. I don't believe in telling someone to get a divorce or to get married or to do whatever. That is a decision that you have to make. So you have to look at the pros and the cons, and you have to talk to your partner, and you have to be transparent, and you probably have to get a therapist for you, your partner, if there's kids involved, and then figure that stuff out and then decide what you want to do. They did just that. And they made the hard decision, and it's working out for everybody. So I wanted him to be happy with this decision that they made. The second thing about this is that he has this newfound freedom. And so, with the newfound freedom, he has an opportunity to learn about who he is and what he wants out of life. I think that's fantastic. I've been in this myself. And when you find this newfound freedom, instead of sitting there, woe is me, go out and figure out what you want, what you like, how you want to live, experience life and food and people and everything. Get out there and do that and live your life. Get excited about the possibilities that are ahead of you and not anxious. Like I mentioned before, anxiety and excitement come from the same hormone, and it's how you interpret it. So instead of getting anxious about traveling, get excited about it. Don't worry about how you're going to get there. You've bought the ticket, you've got the transportation, you got the place to stay. Get excited. Get excited about the new person that is going to come into your life, whether it works out or not. Like, it's okay. It's part of life. Get excited. The hill that he built was a peaceful coexistence with him and his partner and planning things out more effectively, separate but together. That's what was on top of his hill. He also understands that everyone involved will have their moments, they will have their ups and their downs, and that's good because he recognizes what's going on around him and he can move forward accordingly. He can navigate with intention and purpose. It's very important to know what you want and to be aware of your feelings and your surroundings. And I also told him, ask yourself, when you get like this, what's causing this anxiety? Why do I feel depressed? What am I truly afraid of? Self reflection can be so powerful because it allows you to identify any issues and confront them head on. All right. Whew. Scenario number 2. Here we go. I have a stressful relationship with my daughter. I found out that a very young family member passed away, and since I am not in my adult child's life, I don't know what happened. I'm heartbroken and we do not communicate well with each other. So I decided to create a boundary before we communicate with each other and not accept the toxic language and words that we tend to use with each other when we are talking. I decided to take some fitness classes and fast for about 30 days with my spiritual group. I truly believe that if I didn't have my spiritual group, I wouldn't have been able to create boundaries with my family and let go of things I can't control. There's a lot going on, and I'm okay, but I feel very anxious. This one, I started out again. Please love yourself first. I want you to give yourself a huge hug. And I know this sounds crazy, but hug yourself like you want to be hugged. Literally stand up and give yourself the kind of hug that someone that you just, you adore would give you. Praise yourself for using the tools that were given to you and that she found a way to push forward. Understand that you can use your freedom to make a change. Creating boundaries with her daughter and letting her know that the relationship was toxic when they were together, that was huge. That was huge because that's not always hard, especially when it comes to your adult children. It's hard to tell your kid, hey, stop. Or for your kid to tell you, I can't take this. I can't handle this. Family has a way of triggering you, even with the smallest comments. And it's really good that she recognized that and she wanted her peace and she drew that line. So again, I asked her, be proud of yourself for finding a safe place and safe people to move forward. Those people in her spiritual group didn't have to know anything that was going on with her. They were there to fast. They were there to, read the Bible. They were there to meditate and do their thing. And she immersed herself in that environment and she created a calmness that she probably would not have had to deal with this grief that she's feeling and these boundaries that she had to make with her daughter. She told me, she's like, there's no way I could have gotten through that. And so again, I wanted her to give herself grace and give herself praise for creating that boundary, finding these tools, and moving forward. This client's pathway and hill was peace of mind and having a non-toxic relationship with her adult child. At the top of the hill, this client was getting in shape, physically and mentally. She created her own path and freed herself from her toxic path and her toxic past. Now, when I'm having these conversations, the goal setting, the action steps, and moving forward, it's all part of the process. It is the process. And I know that you've heard this before, appreciate the process, engage into the process, immerse yourself into the process. You learn from the process. All of that is true. It's all about harnessing your inner resources and finding outer resources that are going to be safe for you, encouraging, and feeds positivity into your soul. Whether it's breaking down goals into small, tiny pieces or using coping strategies like cognitive therapy or mindful meditation, find what works for you. That is what's key. Now, scenario number three. This particular client was fun to work with because she was a forward thinker. And it's interesting because there are a lot of us out there who think forward, but we don't think that we are because there's no action behind it. And that's true. But when you start to ask yourself these questions and you seek out someone to ask the same questions, that is a sign of anticipation. That's a sign of contemplation. That's a sign of you're ready. Okay. So here's her scenario. I spend too much money on eating out, and it's not only hitting my bank account, it's hitting my body in a negative way as well. I know I can do better by eating smarter and working out, but I don't know where to start. I'm stuck because the thought of making these changes in my life can be very intimidating. And I feel really stuck because all I really know is how to go out, grab a bite to eat with my friends. So I just don't know where to start. So I'm always going to start with wow. She can see the changes. She was asking the right questions, not only to herself, but to me, which means she was ready for change. Because when you share what you want out of life to someone else outside of yourself, that means you're ready. So I want you to understand that you're ready and you're thinking forward. So for her, mapping was great. And mapping is, if you've listened to any of my other podcasts, it's part of my goal setting. You take a piece of paper, you draw a big circle, and you write down one goal. just one. From that big circle, you're going to draw 3 lines outside the circle, and they're going to lead to smaller circles, and only 3. So, in her big circle, she wrote, "Stop eating out so much." And then I started asking her questions because in her mind, she thought, "Oh, well, then I'll just do this, I'll just do that." And they were very general ideas, very general action steps. And I wanted her to narrow them down to small bites, small pieces, so she can set herself up for success. So my first question to her was, "Can you cook?" And she's like, yeah, great. You can cook. So for the first week, can you give yourself 2 nights of eating in and not eating out?" And she said, "Yes, I can do that." So that was the first action step. Pick 2 nights out of the week that you can eat in. Then my next question was, "Why do you want to eat in so much as opposed to eating out?" And she told me that she was very aware that eating out so much wasn't healthy and that she wanted to lose weight and get back in shape. And she wanted to save money because she started to see how much money she was spending on dinners and lunch and how it was adding up. So, action step number 1, cook a meal 2 times a week. Action step number 2, which I gave her, was call 3 personal trainers because she wanted a personal trainer. So I asked her, "Do you know 3 gyms?" She said, "Yes." I said, "Call them and set up an appointment with a personal trainer and pick from there." And I gave her 2 weeks to do that. And then step number 3 was start drinking more water. Super simple action step. Why? Because when you start one good habit and you see the effects of that one good habit, you are going to start wanting to do more of the good stuff. So if she's drinking water, her skin clears up, her hair gets longer and shinier, whatever water does for you, because it's different for everybody. Then you're going to be like, I wonder if I upped my vegetables and fruit, what would that do? Hmm, I wonder if I stopped eating fried food, man, what could that do? So starting with a really super simple step can lead to bigger steps, and you start doing them on your own. So, this client's pathway was to stop eating out and climb the hill to a healthier, more economical individual. Each week for the next 4 weeks, we changed 1 or 2 of her action steps until she saw consistent progress with her moving forward and upward. By week 5, she had completed 3 weeks of personal training, 3 to 4 days of eating in. And what was interesting was she started asking me questions about protein and carb intake because she heard it could be very effective in a positive way when she's working out. So at the top of her hill, she's healthier, stronger, and less fearful to start something she knows will benefit her. So trusting the process means embracing both the highs and the lows along the way. Each setback is an opportunity for growth. And I know you've heard that before. It's been said 1,000 different ways by 1,000 different coaches. But it is true. If you believe in the process and you trust it, it's an opportunity for you to grow, to learn about yourself, and understand how you navigated through your own journey. Because let me tell you, once you've climbed one hill, there's going to be another pathway and another hill, and you're going to have to leave what you did before behind. But you've learned something and you've learned how to move forward. So, amongst the challenges, don't forget to celebrate those small victories. Whether it's a pat on the back or a huge hug, huge bear hug. Give yourself a hug like you want somebody to give you a hug. That is acknowledging your progress, and it fuels motivation and it boosts your confidence. As you navigate on your own pathway, remember to adjust your expectations and your timelines to accommodate your mental health needs. It's okay to take detours. It's okay to slow down when necessary. What matters is staying true to your own journey and embracing the beauty that awaits you on the top of that hill. And let me share something with you real quick. As a runner, here I go. When runners are running track or runners are in a race and they're in a competitive race, and the only time this really, really works is when the runner is just top notch. They are so far ahead of the crowd. But anytime a runner looks back, if they look over their shoulder to see what's happening, if they turn around and look what's happening, a couple things can happen. One, they can trip over their own feet and not even finish the race. Two, it has been proven that when you look back, you can take milliseconds and even seconds off of your time. And time is very important in track and field. Or if you look back, it'll slow you down. And so when I was talking about the path and not looking back, those are the reasons why I don't want you to look back. When you look back, it slows you down. It mentally keeps you stuck. And when you're trying to move forward and you don't want to be stuck, you have to look forward on your own path, not Sally Sue's path or Tommy Joe's path, your own path. And then look at that hill and look up and start climbing with intention. Start climbing with purpose and start climbing because you want your happiness, peace, and joy. Yes, money and tangible things are great. They are fantastic. But let me tell you something. It doesn't matter how much you have or how little you have. If you do not have true peace, happiness, and joy, you don't have anything. So I hope some of that resonated with you out there because I really want everyone to get something out of each of these podcasts. I love putting these things together. I love helping people. I love talking to people about their goals and what they want to do and the changes they want to make in their lives. And understand that when you make the change in your life, you do not need anyone's permission to do so. That is a freedom that we all have, okay? I don't care what other people are telling you. If you are doing something for your own mental health and your own well-being, everybody else will either fall into place in your life the way they need to fall into place, or they will fall out of place. And that's fine because that means you didn't need them. Create your own path. Build your own hill. Imagine getting to the top of that hill, and you will get there. And you will get there with supportive people, a supportive environment, and hopefully a supportive podcast. And hey, I would love to hear about the path and the hills that you're building. All right, everybody, I'm done. I could talk all day long. I want you to have a fantastic week, a fantastic weekend. And until next time, keep rising. Hey, thanks for tuning in. Remember, this podcast is meant for both education and entertainment purposes only. I am not a licensed therapist, so it's crucial to consult your physician, psychotherapist, or qualified health professionals for personalized advice. Until next time, take care. If you're enjoying this podcast, I would like to ask you to please subscribe, like, and share. That's what they told me to do at the end of this podcast. So could you hook me up? Thanks. Bye.